He's going to take a deep shot to Brandon Ayuk. It's the float and caught. Ayuk caught it out of the air.
Hurts is going deep for Brown, and it is caught. Touchdown! A.J. Brown.
You have options when you've got A.J. Brown.
To the back of the end zone, Sutton.
That's fantastic.
Lob left for Garrett Wilson. One-handed catch. Oh, he's got it. That's a jet touchdown. Garrett Wilson.
What a time to be a wideout right now in the NFL. We got a whole hour full of wide receiver storylines for you on NFL Live. So glad you're with us today. Welcome. Louis Riddick, Booger McFarland, Adam Schefter with us for the hour. We got a lot to get to, but we're going to keep that wide receiver theme going as we begin in Philly. A.J. Brown, wideout Wednesday, celebrating him, and that's because he just got a 3-year, $96 million extension that includes $84 million guaranteed. It makes him the highest paid wide receiver in NFL history. More guys about to get paid, so that could change. But here's what Brown said about how much being the highest paid wide receiver means to him.
Nothing. Ain't nothing. I want to prove it, Again, that is just a blessing, I can say, but, we don't play on paper, and nobody cares what's in the bank account when you step between them lines.
He doesn't sound like somebody who just got paid, but that's how focused he is. Brown was not the only Eagle to get paid this offseason, as Philly also signed contract extensions with wide receiver Devontae Smith and offensive lineman Landon Dickerson and Jordan Mailata. The Eagles signed Saquon Barkley in free agency, but most of the additions came on defense, including Philly's first 2 picks in the draft. Cornerbacks, we love this pick, Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. Significant changes were made to the coaching staff as well. Kellen Moore taking over as the offensive coordinator, while Vic Fangio will run the defense. But what needs to change in Philly, though, for them to be successful this season?
Well, Laura, I think there are 2 things. Number one, I think the quarterback has to play better. And I realized that he was injured a little bit last year in the knee and he was hampered. I get that. But overall, his play dropped. And I think that, if this team is going to go where they want to go, he's got to step up and he's got to play better and continue being what he was, which is a dual threat quarterback. It doesn't mean that he's got to stay in the pocket. He's got to continue to use his legs. And I think the second thing is that defense has to take that step back to where they were a couple of seasons ago. We all relished on those 70 sacks that they got, and they were dominating up front. Well, let's just be honest. The defensive line didn't play as good last year. And in turn, when your pass rush is not as good, your secondary is not going to be as good. So their top 3 picks were all on defense. They got 2 corners. They got an edge guy. But the quarterback and that defense led by that pass rush has got to be better, Lou, because if they want to continue to ascend, they got to play a certain style. They want to get after the quarterback and force the quarterback to make turnovers, and they just didn't do that last year defensively.
Yeah, and you know where all that starts, Boog. It starts with the plan that's put into place, especially by the 2 new coordinators that are occupying those roles this year, starting with Kellen Moore on the offensive side of the ball. We said it the day of the draft, the night of the draft, I should say the 3rd day of the draft, when we were kind of summarizing all the work that they had done this offseason, that Kellen Moore, man, look, you could not have more to work with here now in terms of the quality on the offensive line, the quality at the perimeter positions, the quality in the backfield at running back with Saquon, the quality of Jalen Hurts himself. And then when you think about that, and then what they brought in just in this draft on the offensive side of the ball too, let's not just look. A.J. Brown is fantastic. Devontae Smith is fantastic. Think about who they drafted too. They drafted Johnny Wilson out of Florida State. They drafted Nia Smith out of Texas A&M. Got to see both of those guys this year. Are you kidding me? In 5th, 6th round, these guys? I mean, these guys are absolute playmakers.
Yeah.
Playmakers, and they're getting them 5th and 6th round value. So for Kellen Moore, you got to figure out a way to put a plan in place to make sure that you're maximizing this talent and making it run efficiently for 17 weeks. Not up and down, efficiently with a nice steady progression on into the postseason. And then ultimately, look, the goal's in Philadelphia Super Bowl. It's as simple as that. And on the other side, look, Vic Fangio is the godfather, okay? Everyone knows how competent Vic Fangio is. You got a lot of tools to work with. Get the young secondary to play better this year, and here we go. And then you're off to the races.
And they got those tools, Lewis, and they also did the right thing off the field, right? They get Devontae Smith, a new deal done for him recently. Then right before the draft begins, they extend A.J. Brown. And they get both those wide receiver deals done before Justin Jefferson gets his new contract, before C.D. Lamb gets his new contract, before Jamar Chase gets his new contract. before Jalen Waddle gets his new contract. So before the wide receiver market explodes even more than it already has in an offseason where we've seen wide receiver deals get done, the Eagles get out in front of that and lock down their wide receivers long term. So they draft the right way, they manage the contracts the right way, they set all the things up this offseason to have a successful season, a more successful season than they had last year with the disappointing end. Now we'll see if they can get it all together with the coaching staff, with the players, with everybody involved. But they've done everything that they needed to and can to put themselves in position to have a successful season.
The front office with the Eagles continues to be so smart. A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith had the second most receiving yards by any pair of teammates last season, trailing only Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. And that's interesting because, as Lewis mentioned, they drafted some weapons offensively that should allow Jalen Hurts to spread that ball around a little bit more. It could be better to see a little bit less targeting of those two lead receivers. Let's stay with the wideouts and get to the latest on those awaiting contracts. Adam, you talked about some of them just now. Let's start with Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, there have been talks between the two sides, but it doesn't seem like they're a whole lot closer. If we go back to last season, Justin Jefferson turned down a record deal right before the season began, 24 hours before, and it's hard to imagine that he's going to step foot on a football field without getting a new deal at some point this offseason that makes him the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. And then, of course, there's the question about CeeDee Lamb and how much money he'll get. Well, he's not going to take less than some of the wide receiver deals that already have been given out. So this is a deal that the Cowboys know will essentially be well north of $30 million a year. And CeeDee Lamb has been wise to wait. He wants to see some of these other wide receiver deals get done. It only means the price on his contract is going up. And it's the same story in Cincinnati with Jamar Chase. As these wide receiver deals get done, the price on Jamar Chase only goes up. He knows that, so there's no rush for Chase, no rush for Lamb, no rush for any of the receivers to get a deal done anytime before training camp or the regular season. Their money's going to come. Their turn's going to come. Last year we had the summer, the offseason of the quarterback deal. This offseason, it's the offseason of the wide receiver deal. And the other wide receiver in Cincinnati, T. Higgins, some questions about him. He demanded a trade before the draft. Again, no contract conversations regarding an extension with the Bengals. No trade conversations with the Bengals and other teams. And it looks like the Bengals are essentially saying, we're going to hold on to T. Higgins because we know we're a good team. We want him back. But you have to wonder how content he'll be in a year where he's not getting the long-term deal that he wants going into camp. That's something to watch here going forward, Laura.
Yeah, especially, Adam, as you're alluding to, this wide receiver market's going to continue to explode. He's going to be looking around, seeing everybody else. And all these receivers are like, hey, you go ahead and sign your deal. I'll wait and then see how much more I can get paid.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny to see as these dominoes continue to fall. Chase and Higgins, a huge part of that Bengals offense. But let's get back to Justin Jefferson and CeeDee Lamb, who have had two of the most productive starts to their careers by any receiver in NFL history. Jefferson has racked up nearly 5,900 receiving yards, by far the most by any player through their first four seasons in NFL history. And CeeDee Lamb ranks fourth on that list, as you see, trailing only Jefferson, Michael Thomas, and Randy Moss. Lewis, a new quarterback for Jefferson, with J.J. McCarthy being drafted by the Vikings, and a crucial year in Dallas as they try to find playoff success. Which of these guys is more important to their respective team?
Yeah, I'm going to say Justin Jefferson because of the fact that they just drafted J.J. McCarthy. And because, that's what gives you so much confidence in the fact that once Kevin O'Connell is able to get J.J. McCarthy up to speed, just think about the embarrassment of riches that he has, provided that Justin is there and signed to a long-term contract. Look, Jordan Addison is there too, who's basically a 1A or a very top-level number 2. Brandon Powell is a solid number 3. T.J. Hawkinson is a fantastic number 1 tight end. And then they've got a solid offensive line.